former service members in the military commit suicide and suffer from mental health issues is because of lack of community and lack of purpose. You know, you go in the military, you're in groups of 8 to 10 people. You all know each other by first names and last name. You know who has your back, who has your six. You're in these you in these literal life or death situations with help, which give you a common cause. And if you live in a big city like we do in Dallas, New York, San Francisco, Miami, you don't have that. So there's many factors, and I think that mental health is one of those things that in this country it's talked about more openly now, but I still think it's very taboo.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you hit it on the money earlier. 15 minutes as opposed to the future. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, we do live in a microwave. I'm not going to say this is a microwave generation. No, this is a microwave society that comes with various age groups because of adaptation to technology. And we want fixes now. Let's be honest, even the system with healthcare. Let's say if you are truly, you have mental issues, you go into psychiatrists, whatever, they prescribe you pills, take your medicine, get controlled. Did it truly fix something, or did it help? Or did it control something? See, fixing and controlling is two different things. You can control a leak, or you can fix a leak.
Yeah, you're right.
You can plug a hole, did it fix it? No, you're controlling it.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's gonna push it out again.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say taboo. Let's say even if you don't go to psychiatrists, we look into things that can do something in the next 15 minutes, something that can get me high, to help me block out my thoughts, my pain, something that can get me, drunk, something that can alter my mind in some way, shape, or form, to alleviate me for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
But as soon as you come down from it again, and then you're right back to where you came from.
I agree. I mean, let's say you're not addicted to drugs, or point of mental health even extends to relationships in a lot of ways, right? I remember being single. I'm not single anymore.
I remember when you were single, yeah.
But even then, it was looking for women, using apps, using the computer, almost like a slot machine. You get addicted to that thing where you're looking for the next girl on a screen, and maybe she responds. Yeah. And then we're judging each other based on pictures we see on a screen. We're not really judging each other or getting to know each other's plights on a one-to-one or a human-to-human basis. It's almost everything's digital, and I think that disconnect is, in my opinion, and for what I've read, and for my assertion of seeing how people react, is probably one of the number one reasons that we are in such a health crisis in this country, mental health crisis in this country. We're comparing ourselves, let's say Twitter, right? If you have a Twitter account and you have more than 1,000 followers, you have just 10 people say something negative about you. How does it fuck up your day?
Especially, imagine on a bigger scale, like an artist.
Dude, imagine.
I mean, you got thousands and thousands of people just...
Millions at sometimes. And then, and here's the thing.
And it's easier to see that than the people that actually love you.
And it's easy, right?
Why is it always easy to see the bad things?
Because they stick out like a sore thumb, right? Like, you hear people say, "Oh, good job, you did great," but you're always gonna remember that one thing you fucked up. Yeah. All of a sudden, that one thing you fucked up, somebody, "Oh, but you fucked that up, bro. Could have done better, man." Yeah. Like nobody gives you credit for that 95% that you did great, that everything was freaking perfect, but they call out that one thing, that one fault, that one shortcoming, and they blow it up to this thing, and that becomes the elephant in the room. Then you add factors like, fulano de tal doesn't have a dad. He grew up in a bad neighborhood. He doesn't have the means to get out of where he's at, or he suffers from clinical depression, mental issues, literal clinical depression, where he has messed up hormone levels in his head. You know, he had an abusive mom, an abusive dad. She got touched when she was a kid. All these factors, all of a sudden, you know, you start thinking about. It's like this person, this baby, this human being, that as a society, I think we're supposed to take responsibility for each other. I think that's what the Bible calls us to do. You know, that it's to lead each other towards the promised land. And that promised land in my case, and my faith, is Jesus, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, we're leading each other astray, telling each other, like, hey, go get under somebody. Hey, bro, go get high, go get drunk, go forget about your problems. You know, like, we're so quick to run towards the thing that fixes it easy instead of taking that deep look in the mirror. You know, and I hate to say it, you know, my dad is a military veteran, and I see it sometimes, you know. My dad is a beautiful man, but I see a lot of his friends and a lot of people on the streets, and especially now in Dallas, where homeless is becoming an issue now. And you see these guys... Right? And you see these guys are like former military veterans, and you're like, Jesus, like, where did you go wrong? Where they see these horrible things and they say, oh, no, you're fine, go back home. What's going on? I think we're not understanding the full... I think not even doctors understand the full effect of depression. They know that it's a chemical reaction in the brain. I think they understand the science behind it.
Right.
But the psychological and the mental and the heart and the emotional sides of depression aren't truly understood.
Because it's not a machine.
Nope.
We can understand the brain, the functions of the organs, right, of the body, the way it's composed, the way this moves here. That's easy to figure out.
Yeah.
But like you said, man, like thoughts, those things that you can't see function, work, it's hard to pinpoint it because it's something that you can't see is missing as well.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like
it's scary. To me, it's a scary thought because you remember that show 13 Reasons Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I saw like 2 or 3 episodes, and it was like
it jacked me up, bro.
And
not in a bad way, but it jacked me up.
Like it's listing the reasons why she took her life. I don't think there was a good reason. There's any good reason, but in somebody who has no hope, you already have these pre-existing conditions that your brain doesn't work properly because of chemical reactions, right? You add hormones, and this is male or female. I'm not trying to call out or whatever. You add hormones. You add societal pressures of being a teenager in today's world with social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And then you add the pressures of being in high school. You remember how it was to be in high school. If you weren't cool, if you weren't wearing the right shit. Like, it's always been around. Like, you weren't, there's always a status.
And if you didn't have the right stuff, I mean, you had to do other things outside of school.
And then, where we're like the last of the Mohicans as far as our age group when we got out of high school, where we could still run away from it by going home.
Yeah.
Even though we had to go back the next day or deal with it, we could run away going home. They don't run away from it anymore.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on everywhere. Everywhere. There is no rest. There's literally no rest for the weary. And what do you do? What do you tell? My fear, right, as me and my wife start thinking about having kids and we start looking into having our own child here in the next couple of years, it's like, what am I going to do in the next 20 years when my kid's 14, 15 years old and it's bad now? How's it going to be in 15 years? What am I going to tell my son? What am I going to tell my daughter? God forbid I have a daughter. What am I going to tell her?
I'll say that. You're about to have twins.
No, but I mean that with all my heart. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's like you could tell a kid, you could tell a boy, right? It's like, Papa, keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants. And you can hammer that home. It's almost easier because we can relate the body parts.
Right.
Right? Pero, ¿qué tú le vas a decir a tu hija?
And I had that conversation with my wife the other day, actually, because we were talking about women that grow up, or I'm not going to say women. I'm going to say, for example, a son that was left by his father, lived his whole life with his mom. Mother did an amazing job. She raised him as an incredible man. She did everything that she could humanly, motherly, possibly do. But there's still that missing factor that a man could have on the life
of a young man,
just like how a woman can have on her daughter, because they have that relatability, that common ground. We're the same gender. We things like that, right? We think the same. We got the same body parts that you're saying, and things like and if you're a father, and let's say you live with your daughter, your mother's passed away. Now you're raising. How are you supposed to have a conversation when she gets her deal? What do you do? You don't know. You're not a freaking girl. Books, internet, okay, but you're missing something. You know what I mean?
I don't know, and dude, I don't know. Then you have to add this factor, right? What if I'm working on this bit about this, but what if they identify as transgendered? Or because that's another piece to mental health that a lot of people are equating to this. That they don't know how to identify. They don't know if they're men or female anymore. Yeah, their body parts say one thing, but they feel another way. And I'm not trying to discount how they feel, because feelings and reality are two different things.
Right.
Right? Like, I know that biologically there are men and women, like, period. But trying to be sensitive here.
Do you feel like it's lack of guidance or too loose of a guidance?
I think it's a combination. Because some parents instead of embracing who their kids are, let it be gay, transgender, homosexual, whatever, instead of embracing who they are and loving them for who they are, I think they're so stringent that the kids run away. Right? And then the opposite. The kids are confused and seeking guidance, and the parents are like, be whatever you want to be. You know what I'm saying?
Too much of anything is bad. It's something that was taught to me a long time ago.
Claro.
Too much discipline is bad. They rebel. Too much
freedom is bad too.
Yes and no. I'm not gonna say freedom. Too much. Because when people give people freedom, or I'm not gonna use freedom. When people give it, especially for humans, it's a lack or it's a fear of them rebelling against you because you're being too mean.
Yeah. It's
not a true. Oh, you can really do no. That's bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you're too strict, it's like, oh, I don't want him to be to this because then he's gonna go nuts. It's an extreme, bro. There's no true path, no guidance that's being given.
It's and this is where I start appreciating my parents a little bit more now, right? As I'm getting into the season of life where we're starting to have kids, and it's like, how did they do it? You know, like,
how did my parents do it? That's a good question, bro.
How did they do it? How did they balance
Crazy.
the societal pressures? I think we're the first generation to really say it's like, oh wow. Look, to our homosexual, transgendered, LGBTQ brothers and sisters out there, I love you, support you 100%, but the fact of the matter is, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, our parents weren't having to deal with this shit. And it's not shit, it's just the reality of what we're dealing with now. It's way more in the open. It's not good or bad, it's just, it is what it is. And it's just another wrinkle to raising kids. And raising kids and having to think about their mental health, which I think as a parent, you have to. Because you can't fix a broken adult, but you can fix a broken child. How do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? It's just my opinion.